and gentlemen, you've come a long way here today, and we say welcome. Welcome to the dark carnival of the small intestines. Very extraordinarily special presentation. Ashley.
The most important part of digestion takes place in the small intestine. It is also called the small bowel. Kind of creepy. It is about 2 fingers wide and the length of 3 grown men. Now, we are going to gather 3 sexy men to volunteer for a small experiment.
Sexy, I know it.
That's all right. Come here. Right up here. I will drop you on the table. Good job. Up on the table. Right in the middle. Okay.
This equals to be about 20 feet long and about 1 inch in diameter. Its length is enough to cover the surface area of a tennis court.
I'm hungry. There you go. You've decided to operate.
The human small intestine has a surface area about 10 times greater than the skin surface. And if you were actually to spread it out, it would be enough to cover an entire tennis court. Even a rat's small intestine is long enough for a human to jump rope with. And the blue whale intestine can stretch up to 3 miles long. That's like from here to Cheviot Hills.
Let's see how long is Ashley's intestine. Ooh.
I got the cut?
Yes.
Sure. I get the cut.
Here's the duodenum and the duodenum and the ileum.
Okay.
The small intestine begins at the pyloric sphincter and ends with its connection to the large intestine at the ileocecal valve, and therefore it fills most of the abdomen. My jejunum is itchy. Can you scratch it for me? Thanks. Much better. About 90% of what we eat is absorbed into the small intestine. It absorbs most of the nutrients that we eat and drink. It also secretes hormones, intestinal juices, which are very tasty, and you will try later.
Oh, I think I ate too much.
And protects against infection.
You okay?
Oh, my stomach hurts.
Typically, we don't feel the intestines' movements, but if we eat too much, we can have painful sensations, especially if we get poisoned by food. We can end up with violent pains and spasms.
Woo, much better.
Vomit and diarrhea are caused by toxins which irritate the small intestine, especially if you eat food off of dead bodies. Velvety tissue lines the small intestine. This tissue is divided into 3 parts, which I will point out to you right now. All right, so we will start with, there's 3 parts, the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. And the first section is the duodenum. It has the largest diameter, but it's the shortest part of the small intestine, and it's where most of the chemical digestion takes place. In humans, the duodenum is a hollow jointed tube about 10 to 15 inches long. It connects the stomach to the jejunum, starting with the duodenal bulb and ending with the ligament of Treitz. The duodenum does not actually produce any digestive enzymes. It produces chemicals that are called buffers. The most important of these buffers is the Brunner's glands. These glands produce a mucus-rich alkaline secretion that contains bicarbonate. This is to, there's 3 things, protect the duodenum from the acidic content of chyme, provide an alkaline condition for the intestinal enzymes to be active, enabling absorption to take place, and to lubricate the intestinal walls. The duodenal wall is made of a very thin layer of cells that form the muscularis mucosae, and the duodenum is almost entirely retroperitoneal. Now this just means that it lies behind the peritoneum. The duodenum also regulates the rate of the emptying of the stomach through hormonal pathways. Secretin and, bear with me, cholecystokinin are released from cells in the duodenal epithelium in response to acidic and fatty stimuli, when the pylorus opens and releases gastric chyme into the duodenum for further digestion. These cause the liver and gallbladder to release bile, and the pancreas to release bicarbonate and digestive enzymes such as trypsin, lipase, and amylase into the duodenum as they are needed.
Now, the second and third part of the small intestine consists of jejunum, which is presented here in orange, and ileum, which is presented in green. Jejunum, which is also called the midgut since it's located in the middle, stretches to up to about 8 feet long, and the ileum is about 12 feet long. So now Ashley's intestines actually got cooked, and you will get to try some of it. So the jejunum begins at the duodenojejunal flexure. After its origin, it gets cooled and gradually changes its features to become ileum, which ends at the ileocecal junction. The coils of jejunum and ileum are freely mobile. They're attached to the posterior abdominal wall by the mesentery of small intestine, which is kind of a fan shape, and you can see it here. The root of the mesentery allows various structures to reach the intestines from the posterior abdominal wall. The branches of the superior mesenteric artery and vein, lymph vessels, and nerves all reach the intestine through this mesentery. The main function of jejunum is to absorb nutrition from the contents of the duodenum. It also contains rounded and longitudinal smooth muscles, which help to move food along by the process known as peristalsis. A large portion of the jejunum may be removed if there's some kind of injury or tumor, and the remaining tissue will actually be able to compensate for the function of the lost tissue. And usually after such surgery, the person's belly will look something like this. Jejunum is the site for the greatest nutrition absorption in the small intestine. It's also relatively leaky along free and rapid flux of water and electrolytes to and from the blood vessels. The ileum functions primarily to absorb vitamin B12, bile salts, and products of digestion that were not processed by the jejunum. The ileum also has a large surface area of the absorption of the remaining products of digestion. However, plicae circularis, which are presented in this here in blue, in the proximal jejunum are more pronounced and more numerous than they are in the ileum. The ileum is characterized by the shorter villi, more lymphoid tissue, less absorptive capacity, and a tighter surface. The junctions are smaller, permitting less flux of fluid and nutrition, but function efficiently for more absorption of fluid and electrolytes. Nutrients are absorbed less rapidly in ileum than they are in the jejunum.
Now that when you all had the taste of Ashley's intestine, let's see how that is absorbed in our small intestine. So I've written a poem called The Mighty Villi. So continuing with the story of the small intestine, where the food is turned into chyme, most of the digestion takes place here of all the food that comes in here. 7 meters in length, 7 meters in length or 20 feet, situated in the abdominal cavity, still not large enough to absorb all the nutrients, needs 60 times larger space to achieve this end. Finger-like projections, millions of them, protruding from the mucosa of the epithelium. Villi is the name, a millimeter in height, lined by a single layer of enterocytes. The surface area is still not enough to absorb all the nutrients and stuff. Microvilli come to the rescue with a Bart Simpson-like hairdo. These are long hair on top of the villus, maximizing the surface area like a hairbrush. Most abundant in the small intestine, help absorb nutrients from the chyme. These teeny itsy bitsy hair ensure that no food is spared, interacting with the flora of the gut, secreting enzymes to break the nut. Digestive nutrients diffuse into the villi, covered by simple columnar epithelium. Connective tissue in the propria lamina, nourishing the epithelium, giving it stamina. It's actually called the lamina propria. Sugars, vitamins, and amino acids. Sugars, vitamins, and amino acids, minerals, electrolytes, and fatty acids